It was a Thursday evening, humid, quiet, unremarkable. The kind of evening most people forget by morning, but not Elijah Bryant. For him, that ordinary night would become a permanent scar and, ironically, a powerful turning point. Elijah had just left the courthouse, where he'd spent the day reading through motions and preparing for the hearings he was scheduled to preside over next week. He wore a simple gray sweatshirt, sweatpants, and a ball cap pulled low. Not the black robe of justice, not the polished diction. Just a man, exhausted and craving a soda. The gas station on East Maple had always been his stop. Owned by an old family friend, it was a small, dimly lit spot with flickering fluorescent lights and aging security cameras that rarely worked. Still, it felt familiar, safe. Elijah walked in, nodded at the clerk, grabbed a bottle from the cooler, and made his way to the register. That's when the cruisers pulled in. Two officers stepped inside, faces tight, hands already resting on their belts. One of them pointed. "Hey, you, what are you doing?" Elijah looked behind him. No one there. The finger was meant for him. Confused but calm, he replied, "Just grabbing a drink." They moved in closer. No hello, no questions, just commands. "Hands where we can see them." Now, the bottle slipped from Elijah's grip and hit the ground, shattering in an explosion of fizz and glass. "You match the description of a suspect," one officer said, though his voice lacked conviction, as if even he didn't believe it. Elijah's protest was measured. "I'm a judge," he said softly. "I work down at district. Don't lie to us." The other officer cut him off. A moment later, Elijah was face down on the floor, cold steel clamped around his wrists. The clerk shouted, "He's not who you think he is. That's Judge Bryant." But the officers didn't listen, didn't pause, didn't even look embarrassed. Outside, a small crowd had gathered. Cell phones were out. The blue and red lights cast sharp shadows across Elijah's face as he was shoved into the back seat. Somewhere in his chest, something cracked, not a bone, but something deeper. Something sacred, his dignity. At the precinct, it didn't take long for them to realize who he was. The silence that fell in the holding room was dense, almost suffocating. A sergeant appeared, red-faced and stammering. "There's been a mistake." Elijah said nothing. He didn't rage, he didn't cry, he simply looked the man in the eyes for a long, chilling second and then walked out, still in cuffs, because no one had thought to remove them. That night, Elijah sat alone in his study, suit laid out for the next day, untouched. His robe hung on the wall like a memory of better times. He didn't sleep. He thought of his father, a janitor who once told him, "They might not see your degree, son, but they'll always see your skin." He remembered the long nights in law school, the hate mail he got when he became the youngest black judge in his circuit. He remembered promising himself that he would never allow bitterness to change him. But tonight, bitterness didn't feel like a choice, it felt like a bruise he couldn't rub out. The next morning, Elijah returned to court, not as a victim, not as a headline, but as Judge Bryant, gavel in hand, voice steady, posture unshaken. He walked into courtroom 3B to find the docket rearranged. A colleague had noticed the names of the officers from the previous night book for misconduct in an unrelated case. A twist of fate had placed them on his schedule. He stared at their names on the file, heart pounding. The clerk whispered, "Do you want us to transfer the case?" He thought for a moment, then shook his head. "No," he said firmly, "I've got it."